Hello and welcome to Ask the Crown. I'm your host and current Miss United States, Elizabeth Safrit. Today is a very special edition of Ask the Crown as we're going international. Please welcome my friend, Miss World sister, and current Miss Trinidad and Tobago, Sarah Jane Waddell. Thanks so much for coming on today, Sarah Jane.
Hello, hi Elizabeth. How are you? It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. We're so excited to have you on Ask the Crown, but I am even more excited because I get a chance to speak with one of my best friends. So thank you so much for coming.
I know, I was laughing as I said it's so nice to see you, and I'm like, well, I talk to you like every day, but
every day, which is so nice. So for those of you who don't know, Sarah Jane and I competed together at Miss World a few months ago in London, England. Sarah Jane made top 25 at Miss World and was a finalist in Sports, Beauty with a Purpose, and Interview. Now, you and I got extremely close at Miss World, so I have about a million great things I could tell the viewers about you, but why don't you go ahead and tell them a few things about yourself?
Sure. I mean, I am somebody who, I grew up being a child of the world, you know, from very young. I grew up in an expat life, so I lived in Barbados and I lived in Costa Rica. And then I was lucky enough to go to school in the States, and then, you know, I even studied for a little while in China. So I am truly a child of the world, and London was just one more amazing experience to add to that.
Yes, yeah, I know. I was so impressed hearing about all of your travels and how you are bilingual. You might be trilingual, correct?
I try very hard to keep it up.
You're a very impressive person. All right, so SJ, tell us your first impression of Miss World and what it was like being thrown into the contest right away.
Wow. Well, I think I was very good beforehand about not really taking on the other girls, or like, you know, I think because it's something it's very easy. You can probably relate to this, you know, it's very easy to start to look at the other girls and find yourself being intimidated because every girl is beautiful, every girl is talented, every girl is brilliant, you know, and you're looking at all these like beautiful images and you're like, oh my gosh, but I really was pretty good about not, you know, taking on the competition. And but at the same time, I've been hearing all these like horror pageant stories, you know, people were kind of freaking me out. But, you know, somebody was gonna cut up my dress, or, you know, somebody told me they were gonna throw marbles on the stage and everybody was gonna fall. I mean, I had the worst scenario in my head. And it was so funny because when I arrived, I think a lot of the girls had come in with that as well. And so we were a little more guarded with each other. And it's funny because as the pageant wore on, it wasn't a situation where we got more tense, you know, as the stakes rose. It was actually that we got more relaxed and more friendly and a lot closer. But I would never even really say there was any kind of tension or cattiness, you know. It was like very kumbaya from start to finish. I guess that's a Miss World girl thing.
It must be. I remember we were all sitting there in the waiting room and you like flew in your workout and you were like, hey guys, how are you? I just finished a great workout. Jet lagged and so tired. And you come in like a big ball of sunshine with so much energy.
I know, and I actually remember that moment so well because that was the first time that I saw you, and you were like, of course, this is the first day, so everybody is like supreme perfection, you know, and Elizabeth is sitting down at her table with her little like iPad computer thing, and she just looks up, and we just exchanged looks for a second, and in my head I was like, that's Miss USA. Okay, like I walked into a room of sharks, you know, so I was just like, okay, that's so-and-so, that I recognize so-and-so, And then I guess, yeah, later on in the day, that's when I came and sat down with you, and, you know.
Yeah, we had dinner together. It's so funny because we didn't have our groups assigned to us yet, and yet pretty much everyone from our group sat together at dinner without knowing that we were all together in the same group.
We were taking pictures together, all of us, before we even got into groups. I have pictures with you and Rolene before they even put us into anything. Yeah. I mean, even when we were sitting down, they were all calling these groups. And we're all sitting there, like myself, you, Courtney, all of us, and we're listening. Because remember, we were group 4. Right. So we didn't hear anything, and we're there listening. Nobody at the table, none of our names were getting called. And we were like, what is going on? And then they were like, and if your name wasn't called, you're in group 4. And we all just looked at each other like, yes.
in a group full of English speakers. That was good for me since I don't speak any language but Latin. I mean, you could have survived in another group, but I would have been supremely.
Very true, very true.
Well, what do you think helps you prepare the most for international competition?
Ooh, I was very lucky. I think a lot of people in Trinidad, I took notice of me because they saw the team that I was working with. I had a team of greats of people that have been working on pageantry for the past 15 years, who's, a lot of queen makers. And so it just kind of was a perfect storm that they were available or around. And I mean, I really can't give credit to any one person. I mean, I think of my two designers, Richard and Anthony, who designed my gown in 4 days. You know that whole drama. I was gownless.
Yeah.
I was gownless a week before the competition, and they came through. They also did my beautiful national costume, which definitely made its mark.
National costumes, both sets of dreams that you had.
Yeah, and then Pete Elias did my wardrobe. He was amazing. He was a former Miss World franchise holder and Miss Universe holder. So I mean, he had like a world of advice to me. He really helped me figure out a wardrobe that suited my personality. I had Yvonne Popplewell, who is a 75-year-old makeup expert extraordinaire and a hilarious old lady. And I mean, I used to go into my afternoons there, and she prepared me for so much more than Miss World. It was life in general. So, I mean, they all kind of came together. It was like definitely it takes a village to raise a child. I felt like everybody came together. So, yeah, I definitely can't give credit to any one person, but it was my team for sure.
Oh, your team did really well because you were very prepared and your wardrobe was amazing. Actually, I remember we took our dresses out of the bag, and you and I are so similar, and we looked at each other's dresses. We were like, is this the same fabric? Is this the same red?
No, I loved your style, though. I loved your style. And then it was so funny because you had like 500 dresses from McDougal. So like coming down to the end where other girls are like kind of running out of great outfits, you're like running out of things to wear your dresses too. So you're wearing like these grand dresses to rehearsals. I'm just looking like, Elizabeth.
And you were roommates with Miss Puerto Rico, and you two became very close. So tell us a little bit about your friendship with Genesis.
It's ironic that I just talked about the competition psyching you out, and how I pretty much was able to avoid that. Except for one person, and that happened to be Puerto Rico, in the sense that I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 days before, somebody sent me a video montage that they had done of the girls, and so I'm just watching this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that one, I know that one, because apparently I was on it, and I'm watching, and I see, and they cut to Miss Puerto Rico. And she's coming down the runway in this beautiful bikini, and like she's like 6 foot whatever, bronze goddess, like just this Coke bottle figure. And I'm just like, oh, that was the first time where I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be hot. And so I laughed to myself, and I called up my boyfriend and was like, you need to see Miss Puerto Rico. She's really, really something else. And then I arrive. Everybody else's roommates are arriving. My roommate is nowhere to be found, and I came a day early, so I'm there like twiddling my thumbs, like who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? And then I think I bumped into a few people when we were walking down to dinner the first night, and I still hadn't heard from her at all. And the porter was getting off the elevator with a bunch of bags, and it was her birthday, so there was like balloons everywhere and like all this stuff, right? And so I said, hey, tell me that's going to my room, and he said, oh, is this 328? I said, yes, that's me. He's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this is your roommate. So I said, who is it? And he was like, oh, it's Puerto Rico. And I was just like, oh, man. And all the girls that were with me were like, oh, boy, good for you. You got the Victoria's Secret model. And she was so cool. She's so down to earth, and we just have a really good relationship, and we, we were very helpful to each other. I think you, me, Puerto Rico, and Scotland, we kind of formed an alliance from early on where if anybody needed anything, we were always there for each other, and that was the most important, I think, growth aspect of the pageant, you know. We were sisters. We had to spend all day, every day together. So,
and it was that we had to spend all day together. We wanted to spend all day together, and we would at 7 o'clock, and we would go back to your room because you had this huge room for some reason. We would go back to your room and talk about the day and talk about each other and just have fun.
Drink our fifth cup of tea for the day. The hotel staff used to get mad, but because we would raid all the tea supplies, take it back to our room.
Ellie and I ended up hoarding, I think, 30 little pots of honey. Yeah, we would just have tea all the time with you guys.
But it was obvious, though, even to the other girls, like when we would go to rehearsals, and we've been there for 8 hours, and everybody else is sitting around like this, and the four of us are there giggling, crying, laughing, hugging, and everybody else is just looking at us like,
how do you have this much energy?
I know. Why do you guys love each other so much? Just stop.
I know. I still have the video on my phone from where we played Heads Up, the game where you have a certain name or event or something on your head, and everyone else has to act it out.
Oh,
and I
so they're like,
yeah. I still have videos of you doing that. So funny. Yeah, we managed to turn even 12-hour rehearsal days into fun times. So I had you guys there. That was really great. And actually, speaking of which, you were one of the first people I met at Miss World, and that was the very first day. And I think you sat down with me. We were about to go to our first day of competition with Talent and Dances of the World, and everyone was so nervous, and you came and sat down, and we started talking about the states and about sororities and about life in general, and we became best friends. So what do you think about our time together at Miss World?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think because, and I mean, you remember this, you came with a bunch of bags, girlfriend. So, like, I had not met Elizabeth, but I'm hearing all these stories. Like, each time I heard the story, it was 5 more bags. Like, first she came with 12 bags, then she came with 15 bags, then she came with 17 bags. Right? But I mean, everybody was just like, really? And I said, nah, no way. And then I was like, this is a girl after my own heart. And then I went and sat, and I thought to myself, and then when I saw you were from North Carolina, I thought to myself, she was probably in a sorority, and when I went to school in the States, I was in a sorority. So I said that's an easy way to just talk to somebody. I'm always happy to meet new people, So I literally just sat down, was like, hi, I'm Sarah Jane, from Trinidad and Tobago, It's so easy with the accent, people immediately listening to what you're saying. And I was like, yeah, I was a Kappa Delta. And you're looking at me like, no, you weren't. I was like, yes. And then you were like, I'm a Tri Delta. And I was like, okay, well, that's it. Best friends for life. It's
It's that easy.
I think what probably drew me to you as well throughout the competition where we connected most was we're both career women. Mm-hmm. So we always had that sense of ambition, and we also were both poli-sci majors.
Yeah, that was an easy connection there.
Yeah, that was a huge connection. That's something we can always talk about and an understanding that we have with each other. So it just kind of fell in, and I guess now that you're seeing that in months later, we're still this close. You're seeing the longevity of that connection. So
that's so true. People ask me every day, do you still talk to the girls? And I say, yeah, every day. I get to talk to them every day. So I'm really thankful for that. And actually, what sticks out to me is the day that, for some reason, everyone was tired. I think it was sports and something else we had that day, and everyone was exhausted. And you and I were like, well, we want to eat. We're not going to not go to a meal. So we went downstairs.
What else is new?
Had Indian food, and we were like, oh, this looks really good. So we went and we got our first plates and sat down, and we found our own little room, and we were by ourselves, and no one else was around. And we sat down there for like 3 hours eating. I think we went back for four different plates. Just eating.
I love Indian food, though. It's a problem. The struggle is real. I love Indian food. And a lot of it was like very heavy British food all the time. And the thing is, half of Trinidad's population roughly is Indian. So I'm used to having Indian food all the time. So this was just like a little taste of home for me and an excuse to pick out. So.
It was so good. It was so much fun. And the more we spent time together and the more time we spent at Miss World, the more relaxed our diets became. So whereas we weren't eating food later.
Realized that was not what they were looking for.
No.
I realized that they didn't want like the super thin Barbie doll. They wanted a woman who was well spoken and eloquent and graceful and humble. They didn't want the girl who was like can't eat anything, is very caught up on her appearance, and that's it. It's more about developing what was on the inside. So at that point, we said, well, let's just be fat and happy instead of eating a grape and a crouton a day.
No, and luckily we were never like that. We always got to eat really healthfully, but we weren't as stressed about it later on. Like we didn't feel the need to go and run off whatever we just ate. And that's such a good thing about Miss World organization is that they embrace all different body types. And
yeah, and I'm glad, I even said, I remember having a conversation. I'm not sure if you were there. I think it was Seychelles and Norway who were with us. But we were sitting down and I was saying, I'm so glad that I did not have to stress about a swimsuit section tonight.
Mm.
Coming down to the competition, all the stress of rehearsals and getting all your ducks in a row and the suspense. The last thing I feel like worrying about is now in turn going in a swimsuit in front of all these people, in front of 1 billion people around the world, You could just relax and focus on what was important instead of out about your love handles or something. So I was so happy for Julia Morley to hear that she was getting rid of the swimsuit portion.
Yeah.
I thought it was what it needed, and I thought it was very much in line with the experience that we had of what they wanted to take, where they wanted to take Miss World.
Absolutely. Continuing to modernize as women modernize. So certainly going to be a trend to follow, I think, in the future of other pageants and competitions like this.
In 2015, absolutely. I think people are realizing that this kind of cookie cutter pageant, it can get a little dated sometimes if you're not careful with portraying the whole woman and not just a shell.
Sure, and let's focus on the more important part of the competition, which for the Miss World organization is Beauty with a Purpose. And I stated earlier you made the finals of Beauty with a Purpose, and congrats first on that. But tell us a little bit about your Beauty with a Purpose project.
My Beauty with a Purpose project was something that was very near and dear to my heart. About 6 months before I was chosen to become Miss World TNT, I work in advertising, and I had done a campaign for child sexual abuse for the Ministry of Gender and Youth Affairs. And as somebody who I come up with the content, I write for the campaigns and the ideas and the stuff, and I was so affected by it. It was like a dark cloud over me, and I realized that's the point where you realize that this is a cause that has stuck with you, and that's kind of how I felt. So later on, 6 months later, I was not even expecting to try out for Miss World at the time, and so when I was given that opportunity and they said, well, what do you want to work on? I said, well, this is what I want to do. I want to do child abuse. And they were looking at me like, Sarah Jane, please choose something that's a little more friendly, that will not make people feel so uncomfortable. But I said, but at the end of the day, what use am I if I'm not going to give the voiceless a voice? Then what use am I? Now that I have the opportunity to speak about something that genuinely I'm very passionate about, then, what's the point? So I convinced them to come on board, but then I found a home that was perfect. It was a place called Sophia House, and it's a place for displaced girls. So they're not quite orphans in the traditional sense where they've lost both parents or caregivers, but it's more that they're coming from difficult backgrounds of child sexual abuse, of neglect, of all kind of not healthy and traumatic backgrounds for a child. So this was a situation where it's 15 girls. They are teenage girls from 12 to 17, and they are now, I feel like I have 15 little sisters. I miss them so much when I was in London, and I basically I started doing these workshops with them where we started teaching them the principles of happiness, which sounds very airy-fairy, but it's not. There's actually a science to it. There's certain things that you can do every day to improve your overall state of well-being. And just teaching them, you know, emotional resilience, making the right decisions, developing healthy relationships, things like that, you know, because yes, these girls are in school, but they're not getting that in the classroom. And that's what they need because they don't have a parent or a caregiver there to impart those lessons on them. And so I literally looked at the situation and I said, what can I give? And this is something that I had done training in, that I was certified in. So I felt like this was a gift that I had, you know. And so I started going every Saturday and working with them. And it was a nice amount of girls because I could really develop a bond with each of them. And since then, I've gone back to the house, you know, and I go and I say hi, we watch a movie, we play games, you know, and then just, it was like very funny that you asked me about this. 2 days ago, I'm driving down the street in like a neighborhood, and I see a whole group of school children walk by, and I recognized one, so I wind down the window and was like, April! And she turns and she's like, who's that? Right? And then I forgot, I said, it's me, girl. And she screams in the middle of the road and comes running down the road, right? And all these, and so I get out, I pull over the car, give her a big hug, and, you know, chat, and I say, oh, I'm coming to see you all again, you know. And one of the other students was like, who's that? And she was like, that's Miss World TNT, don't you know? She's like, you don't recognize her. So yeah, they're like my little sisters, you know. So I was really proud of the project, and the best part too was that I had former Miss World TNTs come on and volunteer to help me as well. So everybody kind of, you know, we had like former Miss World Giselle Laurent. She came and did like a class about like how to go into an interview, like a career-based class, you know. And then we did like a kind of an artsy class, and then former Miss TNT, Valine, is a makeup artist, so she came and taught the girls how to do some nice soft looks to put their best face forward, you know. So I really wanted to equip them for life so that when they're 18, they aren't like hopeless, they don't know what to do, they are prepared, you know, they have the tools to succeed in life. So yeah, and Julia loved it. She told me, I remember she told me the gala, she was like, I was really touched by your beauty with a purpose, and I would love sometime to come and meet the girls or whatever. And I was like, just looking at her, I was so shocked I couldn't respond, right? And then she was like, if that's okay with you, because she thought maybe I didn't want her to, because I just didn't say anything. And I was like, no, my gosh, amazing, yes, please.
That's like the ultimate.
I know. You've made it. Like, you've made it.
That's so wonderful. Well, apart from that, I learned so much about what a good representative you are of TNT and how much you love your country and the people there and the culture. And I was lucky enough to be able to see that, and you telling me stories about your country and telling me, you know, the ghost stories, the superstitions, and the food and what people like. And I loved hearing about it. And I know everyone else at home will as well. So tell us something that most people wouldn't know about your country.
I think because Trinidad and Tobago is in the Caribbean, a lot of people kind of group us in with the rest of the region, you know, and they think that, you know, Trinidad is basically sand, sun, and fun. But I think what they don't realize is Trinidad is actually like a huge regional business hub, you know, and yeah, a lot of trade and also a lot of, we're right now trying to do a lot with renewable energy and develop some sustainable energy systems. You know, and it's a burgeoning place, and I'm very proud to be part of it, because just like Miss World, you know, where I think everybody looks at the beautiful island and thinks like, wow, what a beautiful island, that's it, and they just take it at face value. Trinidad actually has a lot more to offer than that, you know, and everybody's just seeing carnival and the partying, and they think it's just this big constant joyride, but actually Trinidad is, we are very, you know, we have an agricultural sector that's fantastic, a manufacturing sector that punches well above its weight, you know. So, sorry, I just love my country. I could talk about it all day, but I know you don't want this interview to be too long.
No, I love you. You know I do. And actually, I think the first week, maybe the first couple of days, you invited me to Carnival. And I was fascinated, and you showed me all the videos and all the photos, and I want to come next year. We have to make it happen next year, but you've got to tell the people at home about Carnival.
Of course, Carnival is fantastic. Carnival is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I had a girlfriend come stay with me a couple of years ago and for Carnival, and she was like, well, you know, I've done Mardi Gras, so. And I was like, okay. And then she came within an hour. She was like, okay, this blows away anything I've ever done in my life. You know, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You know, you get these beautiful, elaborate, feather beaded costumes, and you know, you go in the road. We play our local music, which is very good. I mean, we have superstars. They go to New York and they sell out Madison Square Garden. You know, it's like some really great hits. The music has won Soul Train Awards, you know, all kind of international recognition. So it's good music. And then, of course, there's alcohol finds its way into the mix. And yeah, it's just this huge, like, parade through the road. And I mean, it's just this beautiful blend of color. It's just, it's hard to put into words. Please, world, anybody who sees this, go and look up Carnival Trinidad and Tobago online, and you will be amazed. Look up Fantasy Carnival. That's the best band to play with.
We'll have to get a few pictures of your Carnival costumes as well, because they were amazing, just unbelievable.
They're just heavy. That's the only thing. When you wear a costume that heavy, I mean, I woke up with bruises all over my shoulders the next day. And then you have to be careful, you don't hit anybody. So you have to kind of walk through the crowd sideways, like, otherwise you're like knocking everybody over. So
you led the parade last year, didn't you?
yes, it's called, you cross the stage. So you have section leaders that they cross the stage first, so they come out and kind of show off the costume and do a little dance, you know, and then the rest of them come on and it's like a giant stampede. But yeah, that's the best part, is crossing the stage. It's supposed to be like, it's euphoria. It's totally euphoria. You kind of blank out. You don't even know what's going on, and they have artists performing all around you, and it's confetti. It's amazing. You're coming next year. You have no choice.
I will come next year. I want to see your costumes in person because they're unbelievable. They really are. So now, while I was at Miss World, I created a question and answer segment called MUSO What You Didn't Know, where I answered fun questions from fans to let them know some unique things about me. And this time, we're going to do an international edition with you. Okay. So, you ready? All right. Favorite food?
French toast. Absolutely. French toast all day, every day. It's the taste of my childhood. I love it. And they had none of Miss World because they had the same breakfast every morning.
We eat breakfast every day, and we thought it was so great at first. And then fifth week comes around, and we're saying, okay, time for something new. Time for something besides beans, mushrooms. Okay, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Okay, well, my favorite recent movie was Focus. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I loved it. I love tricky, clever movies, and I think Will Smith is kind of sexy, even though he's in his 40s now. So, yeah, sorry.
Okay, favorite song?
Favorite song? Oh my gosh, I don't.
You're a music person. You're a music person, so it's hard to narrow it down, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's do a brain check. We'll come back to that one. I'm gonna think about that one.
Most challenging phase of competition for you at Miss World?
Most challenging phase. Top model. Top model.
It was a rough day. It was.
And they did it. They sprung it on us the night before.
Yes, I remember they served French fries and fried chicken and pizza. And after everyone had eaten, they said, "Oh, by the way, tomorrow is swimsuit and top model." We were all like, "Oh gosh, you let us eat all this."
No, I actually took a picture of the food that night and sent it back home and was like, "We're eating garlic bread and fries and pizza." And then they came in and they were like, "Yes, well, we think tomorrow you're going to be wearing your bathing suits." I was like, Of course. I think again, it was that night. I just was like, oh my gosh, like it was a lot to pull together, like because it was different things, and what am I gonna wear for this, and how am I gonna do that, and what accessories, and this, da 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 da, da. So it just was like Miss World. You just had to be on your feet. You didn't know what was coming the next day.
No.
You did not know how the judging was gonna go, what the setup looked like. Like it was just basically you just have to be prepared for the world.
Yes, that is so true. That's so true. So, favorite Miss World memory?
Favorite Miss World memory.
I know it was probably not the day that you lost all of your money when we were shopping.
My mother was like, only you. These things only happen to you. It probably would have been that day shopping. I had a whole bag of things to buy. And
for 5 hours while we were eating and shopping, and you came back with this huge thing of clothes to buy, and surprise, all of your money had been lost.
I was talking about the shopping day from like 10 days before. I was like, I cannot wait for the shopping day, and then that happened. Oh my god, I forgot about that. I'll tell you the nicest moment. With y'all, it was fantastic every day. We had a ball. But the nicest moment, I think, for me was going through everything and then seeing like all my team arrive at the end. And I know you went through that too, because I remember seeing that. Because when we were walking out of rehearsals, I remember I think it was your director and some of the people surprising you, and it's just, and I know the feeling where you're out in this country alone, you haven't, you have all these great friends, but there's still new friends. Like you want somebody from home, like a comfort blanket, and so and so seeing my parents, seeing my designers, seeing Giselle, seeing my director, it was like, that really was a nice boost of support for me right before the competition. That, and then that time when you and Elizabeth put on the scarves around your head.
Whatever.
I still have that on video. Sorry, you and Ellie. So World, to bring you all up to speed, on my gift, my national gift of these beautiful little silk scarves that look like Trinidad and Tobago flags. And so I gave them to all the girls, and and everybody was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna treasure this forever." You know how it is. And then that night, Ellie and Elizabeth show up outside my door. I get this knock on my door late at night, so I'm like, "Who is this?" I look through the people. It's blocked. So I'm like, "Okay, there's a serial killer coming." I open the door. And there's like Elizabeth and Ellie just jump out like, "Rah!" I fainted or like basically fell over in shock. I went into shock. That was just one of many memories, That's how we made it fun.
Yeah, and everyone else in the entire hall was asleep, and we did this at like 1 or 2 a.m. and probably woke up everyone else on our floor because you screamed.
I screamed like a little child. It was terrifying. Y'all look like Zulu warriors.
With our scarves like wrapped around us multiple times in our PJs, Ellie in her onesie.
Yeah, Ellie wearing that ridiculous onesie. Those were the best nights, the girls' nights, when we would curl up, and we all remember that night. It was Norway's birthday, and we were all eating chocolate cake in our pajamas, thinking so wild, eating cake. And then, or like even when we used to go to the sauna. Saunas were the best chats, Really.
Yeah, saunas, and we still had our fake eyelashes on from the day before, and they were off slowly. Yeah, those are the memories you won't forget. That's for sure. Yeah. So if you could go back in time and relive one day from the last year, what would it be?
From the last year? Oh, how to be the day of the competition? I don't have to think about that. Yeah, because this was something I always wanted to do since I was a little girl. This was a memory that I mean, from years of watching these shows with my mom, and watching the stage and watching these girls come on these beautiful dresses and just being in awe. And then watching Miss Trinidad and Tobago come out and cheering for her, coming out on stage that first time. It was pretty amazing, just looking around yourself and being like, oh my God, like I'm on the stage, like the lights are on me right now, and you know, you're looking at all these amazing, beautiful women around you, and they're your sisters now, and you know, you're seeing these dresses up close, you're seeing the glamour up close, and then they call your name. That was amazing. I can't replace that. I came off stage. You all kept yelling at me. I kept coming off stage and crying because I was so overcome. Like, it wasn't even like stress. I was just like, oh, that was amazing. And they were like, hey, TNT, get it together. And then, you know, coming out and them hearing my name. And then hearing my name when they called me for top 25.
Yeah.
Because you were right in front of me. And they hadn't called any of us yet because of how the order was. So of it, I was the 24th name to be called, and I believe you were the 25th.
Yes. Yeah. So we got to be together till the end.
Yeah, so they're calling all these names, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Like, is the road really gonna end here? Like, I just wanted to hear my name once. It didn't have to be, I didn't have to come, you know, first. I didn't have to come second, third, fourth. I didn't care. I just wanted to know, have something to reward all my hard work. And I wanted to do it for my people because Trinidad and Tobago really supported me. They really rose up for me, and I really wanted to be able to give that to them. I had such a great experience. It didn't matter to me if my name was called by the end of it. That was just icing on the cake. But that was something I wanted to do for them. So when they called me, oh my God, the blood just drained from my face. And then I just looked up at God and I was like, you have a very funny sense of humor, you know that? And I was pointing my finger at the sky, like totally forgetting cameras are on me. And you're watching me. I watched the replay and I'm walking out going like this, laughing. And then as I'm walking out, I heard USC and I was like, right, okay, full circle. Everybody made it, you know, like, thank you. Because I really thought to myself, like, there's no way I'm getting called and she's not getting called. You know, we need to be in this together. And then we stood up at the front of the stage and we're holding hands and I'm just looking at you and I hugging, like just so happy to both be there, you know. And then when we came off stage, I started to cry, and then you always have me pull it together again. That day, absolutely, that was an amazing day.
Yeah, an incredible day. You can't repeat that, that's for sure.
No way, no way. And again, doing it with your friends, you know.
Yes, and then that night, I mean, not only going through all of that, then you get the first reunion with your family. You finally you get to go with your family and spend the night with your family and have dinner with them, and it's so much fun. And to have your family meet all of your new friends. I remember we have a picture of you and myself and Ellie and I can't remember who else, and all of our moms together.
Yeah, we have all of our moms with us because and then it's funny because each of us is like a print of our mothers.
Yeah.
You know, so it's funny to see all of us together and be like, these are the women that created us, that raised us, that brought us to here, you know, because we could have never done it without them. So, I mean, yeah, that was a big thing too, because at the end of the day, our families have been hearing about these girls all month. We've been calling home and telling them about so-and-so and what we did with this and that, you know. So that was, again, I mean, Ellie's table was right next to ours. I think you were pretty close by. Genesis was the only one who ended up being across the room. I'm not sure how that happened.
We just felt late.
We were close till the end.
We were. So finally, what's up next for you?
Right now, honestly, I am in between I'm interviewing for a couple of different jobs, and they're fantastic opportunities, both of them. So I really have to make a decision. I'm coming down on myself that it's going to be before the end of the month. The thing is, I mean, and I believe I told you this during the competition, you know, at the end of the day, I'm investing in my career. You know, after London, I'm going to have to go home. And I'm going to have to find a job again. And that's what I wanted for Miss World to be for me. I wanted that to also be exposure in a professional capacity. You know, because that is how Miss World is. They say, you know, they put your name and then right under they put what you do and they put what you've studied and they're pushing you. You're being pushed as a professional as well. And I really wanted that exposure here, and you know, so all of that investment that I made into Miss World, all that training, all that I benefited from, all of those things that I can put on my resume now. I spoke at the Oxford Debate Club, along with the likes of Tony Blair and all these other famous people that preceded us. So did you. you know, these amazing things. You know, I've been on broadcasts. I've spoken on broadcasts that have gone out all over the world. That's unforgettable for me, you know, and those are things I could put on my resume. When I was doing my resume after Miss World, I said to my dad, I was like, so I should put Miss World, right? He was like, you really asked me that question? So I was like, well, I don't know, like, you know, I don't, how am I even gonna like itemize this? And there was actually a lot to write because I had done so much with the organization. So I would push it to any girl, any girl who's thinking about it as a career move. It's a fantastic career move. You know, and right now I'm benefiting from that. I'm in that phase now where my reign is winding down, and I'm looking to get back into work, and I'm looking at some fantastic job opportunities that weren't there for me before. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, you're a fantastic person. You deserve only the best to happen for you. And I know that only the best will happen for you, and I can't wait to see what
Well,
all
you
happens.
get daily updates. You know you hear from me every day. So.
I know. So thank you so much for your time, SJ, and best of luck with the remainder of your reign and your future, and we can't wait to see what great things are in store for you.
Thank you, babe. Same to you.
Love you.
Bye.